I remember the night when the sky burned. It was far beyond the hill where the trees grow thick and old. I thought the light was the moon breaking, falling to the ground. It moved, it lived, it ate, it screamed. The air itself turned bright and sharp. I had never seen anything that glowed without dying. At first, I did not walk closer. I hid behind a fallen tree, my chest shaking like a hunted beast. The light danced and cracked. It ate the wood, and the trees fell with cries like wounded things. I could smell something, sweet, thick, strange. The air was hot and alive. I could not name what I felt, but it was both fear and calling. I thought it wanted to eat me too. The others ran. My people always ran from light that moves. We knew the eyes of beasts glow in the dark, and this light was greater than all eyes together. But I stayed. My feet would not move. Something inside me wanted to see what it was, not from fear, but from hunger for knowing. The night was cold, as always. The sky above was wide, full of small white dust that never fell. My breath made smoke in the air. But near that glowing thing, the air shook and the cold died. I watched from behind a stone, and I saw the trees moving in a way that was not the wind. The light made them twist and vanish. I thought the light came from the sky. I thought it wanted to eat the trees. But then I saw it move with the wind, and I knew it was alive. When the storm came, the rain fell hard and angry. The glowing thing hissed, turned black and faded. I thought it was dead. I waited. It did not move. So I went closer, slow like hunting a small animal. The ground was warm under my feet. The smell of wet smoke made my nose sting. I saw small red things hiding under the wood, tiny eyes that still looked at me. I touched one with a stick, and it bit the wood, and light came again. I pulled back fast. It followed, but weak, hungry. I did not yet know that it wanted to eat. I looked at it, and it looked at me. The night was dark again around us. I could still hear the water dripping from the trees, the low sound of my own heart. I stayed until the light became nothing but smoke and ash. Then I took one of the blackened sticks and rubbed it on my skin. It left marks, like blood but soft, not pain. I did not sleep that night. I kept looking at the hill where the light had lived. I wondered if it would come back, if it walked like the animals, or if it flew like the sky's thunder. I did not know, but I wanted to know. The next day, the others spoke of it. They said it was the anger of the sky, the mouth of the sun, the spirit that eats the forest when we forget to give thanks. They said it comes to punish. But I saw it die in the rain. Spirits do not die like that. I did not speak much. My words were few, and my thoughts had no names. But something inside me said, maybe the sky's anger can be tamed. Maybe the light can be held. For many nights, I watched the hill. I waited for the sky to break again. The air was quiet, the ground cold. Nothing came, but I could not forget the warmth, the sound of wood cracking, the smell of life becoming smoke. One day, I walked alone to the place where it had lived. The trees were still black, their bones standing silent. The earth was soft and dark. I dug into it with my hands and found pieces of wood that were not wood anymore, light as air, dark as night. I kept one. It broke easily, but when I rubbed it, it stained my hands. I licked it. It tasted like the memory of the sky's anger, bitter, dry, old. I carried that piece back to my shelter. The others looked at me strangely. They did not want me to bring the sky's death close, but I kept it. I placed it near the wall, hidden from rain. At night, I looked at it again. I remembered how it glowed, how it breathed. I tried rubbing 2 stones together to see if they could make light. They only made sound. I tried hitting wood against wood, only the noise of breaking. Nothing came alive. I did not stop, because when I closed my eyes, I could still see it, the living light, the thing that burned and sang. And I thought, if the sky can make it, maybe I can too. The world then was always cold. The night was the same every night, long, dark, full of eyes that watched from the edge of the trees. When the beasts howled, I felt the same sound in my chest. We were small things then, but I remembered the warmth, and I thought, maybe that light could keep the beasts away. So I waited for the next storm. When the lightning fell again, I was ready. I watched the trees burst into light, and this time I ran toward it. I broke a branch from a fallen tree, and when I brought it near the glowing part, it began to burn too. It screamed, and the light climbed up the stick. I dropped it. I was afraid, but the light stayed. It moved like an animal but did not chase. It only ate the wood, made noise, and reached for more. I took another stick, longer this time, and touched it again. The same thing happened. I could not understand, but I could see its hunger. That night, I did not sleep. I sat watching it until the rain came. I saw it die again. But this time, I knew how it lived. Before the light came, our world was only 2 things, the cold and the dark. When the sun fell, the world ended. The sky swallowed everything. We would huddle close together inside the caves, wrapped in the skins of beasts we had killed, pressing our backs against stone that never warmed. The cold would find its way in anyway, creeping into our bones. We did not speak much in those nights. Words wasted breath. Breath made clouds, and clouds told the dark where we were. The beasts with eyes that shone would circle outside. Their feet made no sound. Only the wind spoke, and it lied. It made shapes, noises, shadows that looked like movement. Our food was cold, our nights long. The meat from the day's hunt would stiffen, and our teeth would ache from biting it. Sometimes we buried the food in the ground to keep it from spoiling too fast. Sometimes we lost it to smaller mouths, rats, foxes, the tiny things that never sleep. We hunted by daylight. We followed the sun because it was the only fire we knew. We never understood it, but we trusted it. It left every night and returned every morning. We never asked why. We only prayed that it would. The elders said the dark was alive, that it had hands, that it took the weak, the ones who wandered too far from the group. I believed them. I had seen shapes move when no shape should be. I had heard breathing when no one was near. We made tools from stone and bone. They were cold too. Everything was. When we killed an animal, we thanked it. We did not know why it died, and we lived. We only knew there was something that chose. We thought the world chose who would eat and who would be eaten. We did not know we were part of the same choice. Water was life, but also death. It washed away scent, made the ground soft, hid tracks. But without it, we starved. We followed rivers when we traveled. They showed us the path of beasts. They also showed the beasts the path to us. The nights were worst when the moon did not come. We had no word for moon, only for the sky's eye. When it closed, we became blind. We could not see our hands, our feet, our kin. We could only feel their breath beside us. The children would cry. The mothers would press them close, whispering old sounds that meant comfort but no promise. Sometimes the beasts came close enough that we could smell them. Wet fur, rot, hunger. The dark was full of teeth. That was the world before the light. We did not know warmth. The only warmth was from each other, body to body, skin to skin. We slept in piles like animals, because we were not so different. We lived in fear of the cold more than the claws of beasts. The cold did not chase. It waited. It took slowly, quietly, without eyes. I remember once when my father, I did not have the word father, but the one who hunted beside me, he froze. His eyes stayed open, his mouth too. The morning came, and he did not wake. We buried him in a shallow pit and covered him with stones. His skin was pale as the moon's light. The cold had claimed him. After that, I hated the night. I hated the cold. I hated the dark. When the trees moved in the storm and the sky made its roar, I looked up with fear and longing. I thought, if the sky can make noise, maybe it can hear. If it can hear, maybe it can answer. We did not pray with words. We prayed with hunger and hope. When food was gone, we chewed bark and roots. When roots were gone, we ate what beasts left behind. Sometimes we fought over bones, cracking them open to lick the inside. That taste, thick and sweet, was life. I did not know then that the same taste would come again, from fire. The world before fire was a small world. We could not travel far because darkness followed too soon. The cold made the rivers hard and the ground bite our feet. We had no way to chase the warmth when it fled. The old ones spoke of great beasts, tall as trees, with hair like grass and teeth like blades. I saw them once, far away across the plain, moving slow through fog. We did not hunt them. We were too few, too weak. We hunted the small and the stupid. We took what we could. Sometimes we found bones that were not ours. Big bones, too big to imagine alive. We thought they were from the first people, the ones the sky took. We did not know what time was. To us, all things that died still lived somewhere, in another dark place we could not reach. We feared the thunder, but we loved the light that followed it, though it came only for a breath. We had no name for hope, but I think we felt it, sitting by the cave mouth, waiting for the sun to return. We always waited. That was our life, waiting for the cold to pass, the beast to sleep, the light to rise. I used to wonder if the sky cared for us at all. It gave us everything and took it back whenever it wished. We could not stop it. We were small, like the sparks that sometimes flashed when stones hit each other. I did not yet know those sparks were tiny pieces of the sky's anger. But when the great fire came, the one that ate the forest, I saw for the first time something we could touch that was more powerful than us. It was not the sky, it was not the sun. It was here, on the ground. And I began to think, if it can live here, maybe it can live with us. The others thought I was cursed. They said I wanted to steal from the gods of the storm. But I was only tired. Tired of the cold, tired of running, tired of watching the dark eat everything we loved. So I watched, I waited, and when the light came again, I followed it. I did not yet know it would change everything. Our hunts, our nights, our food, our thoughts. All I knew was that it lived, and I wanted to learn its ways. The day I touched fire and lived, I knew the world had changed. It was not quick. It took many moons of watching, of failing, of being burned and frightened again. But each time I learned something. Fire did not hate me. It did not love me. It only wanted to be fed. When the storm came again, I ran toward it. The others ran the other way, shouting my name, calling me fool. But I was not afraid anymore. I waited under a tree split by the sky's strike, and when the light came down, it found the dry wood. It screamed, and then it lived again. I held a stick near it, as I had before, and when it caught the light, I lifted it carefully. My hand shook, but I did not drop it this time. The light danced on the stick, eating it, growing brighter. The wind pulled at it. I felt the heat on my skin. It did not bite unless I went too close. I carried it back toward the rocks to where the rain could not reach. The stick grew shorter as I walked. When I placed it under the small cave ledge, I found other sticks and fed it again. Some it liked, some it did not. Wet wood made it hiss and shrink. Dry wood made it sing. I watched, I listened, I learned. I learned it needed food. Dry wood, not wet. I learned it hated the rain and loved the wind. It slept when the night grew still, and woke when I fed it again. When I held my hands to it, it warmed me. It bit a little, but gently, like warning. My skin turned red, but my bones stopped shaking. The warmth went inside. For the first time in all my life, I did not fear the night. When the others came back and saw it, they stopped at the cave mouth. They did not breathe. They thought it would leap at them. I told them to come closer, but they would not. They said, "The sky's anger is in your hands." I said, "No, the sky's gift." They did not understand. I did not have the right words to make them, so I showed them instead. I put a piece of meat near it, the meat we had taken that morning from the small deer. It sizzled, smoked, smelled like nothing I had ever known. My mouth watered before I even thought. We waited. The fire ate the meat's fat, but left the inside dark and soft. When I bit into it, it was warm, tender, rich. It did not fight my teeth. It did not taste like blood. It tasted like something new, something made. The others saw, and their eyes changed. That night, we sat close. Not too close, just near enough to feel the heat. The children stared as if it were a living thing, as if it might speak. The old woman, the one who had seen the most winters, reached her hand out, and I caught her wrist. She glared at me, then laughed. The sound was like breaking stone. She had never laughed before. We fed it more wood. It danced and cracked, but it did not grow wild. I thought maybe it knew we were watching. Maybe it liked to be seen. Soon, we began to notice things. The beast did not come near the fire. The eyes in the dark stayed far away, even the night sounds. The insects, the whispers in the trees, grew quiet. It was as if the world held its breath when fire spoke. We had made a new kind of silence, a safe silence. After some time, I learned how to carry it. Not in my hands, but in a hollow stone, or a thick branch with a hole in it. I would keep small red pieces, the glowing hearts, and cover them with ash. They stayed alive, sleeping until I gave them air again. We called it the living ash. I began to see the world through it. I watched how it changed things. The bones near it turned white. The stones cracked if they grew too hot. The food changed shape and taste. The smoke rose and vanished into the sky like ghosts leaving the earth. I began to think, maybe the fire is not only alive, maybe it remembers. Each time I fed it, it moved the same way. It reached upward, never down. It wanted to climb. It wanted to rise, like the sun, like breath. Sometimes I talked to it. I did not expect it to answer. But it made sounds that felt like words, the crack, the hiss, the sigh. I thought maybe it spoke in the sky's language. When I closed my eyes beside it, I dreamed of light. I saw my father again, the one who froze, sitting near a great fire, his hands open, his skin warm. In the dream, he smiled. He had never smiled in life. I woke up crying. The fire had given me something I could not name, memory that did not hurt. It changed more than our nights. It changed our days. We started to cook every meal. We began to gather wood wherever we went, not only food. The children would bring branches, the women dried grass, the men heavy logs. It became our work, our rhythm. When one fire died, another was born. The light became our heartbeat. When winter came, we did not fear it. The wind screamed, but inside our caves, the fire answered louder. The coal could not enter. We sat and spoke longer than before, telling the small ones stories, how we hunted, how we ran, how we first saw the light fall from the sky. For the first time, we could see each other's faces at night. We could see eyes, hands, smiles. We began to look, really look, and not just hear or smell. The world grew larger even as we stayed still. The fire made time longer. Nights no longer ended in sleep. They ended in thought. I began to think of things that had no shape. I thought about why the fire wanted to live. I thought about the sky, and if the same fire lived inside the sun. I thought about the beasts. Maybe they feared us now, not because of our stones, but because we carried the light that once lived in the sky. And then I thought, what if this light is not just the sky's anger? What if it is the sky's heart? When I fed the fire, I felt like I was feeding something greater, not a god, but a friend. It did not ask for words, only wood, only care. One night, when the flames were small and the others were sleeping, I sat alone watching it breathe. I reached my hand close enough to feel the bite but not the pain, and I whispered, "You live because I feed you. I live because you warm me. We are the same." And though it made no sound beyond its usual voice, I thought I saw it bend, as if listening. That was the moment I knew. This was not just survival. This was understanding. We had found something that turned fear into thought. Now, many seasons have passed. My hair is white, my hands thick with scars, and my eyes see less than they once did. But when I sit by the fire, I see everything. The flames still move the same way, never tired, never the same shape twice. The young ones sit close, the way I once did, and they look at me as if I am part of the fire myself. Maybe I am. Maybe we all are now. When I was young, the dark was stronger than us. It owned the night. It hid the beasts and the spirits. It whispered fear into our bones. We ran from it because we had no light. Now, the dark runs from us. The beasts no longer come close. The shadows stop where the light ends. Even the wind seems to bow when the flames rise. We have become something the world notices, something that can change it. I wonder if the sky watches us, if it knows we hold its power in our hands. The others still call it a gift from the gods, or the breath of the sun. But I think it is more than that. I think it was always here, waiting, hiding in the wood, in the stone, in the air. It waited for us to notice. I remember the first time I saw the sparks leap from stone. I had struck flint against flint, angry that it would not break the way I wanted. A small light flashed and died. My heart stopped for a moment. I thought I had angered the gods again. But then I saw another spark. I learned to make them dance. I learned to feed them grass, dry leaves, thin sticks. And when one grew into flame, I laughed until my throat hurt. The sky no longer needed to give us fire. We could make it ourselves. It was then I realized we had become the sky, not in power, but in knowing. The same light that once fell from above now lived in our caves, in our hands. We had learned the language of the world. Not all of it, but a word, a single bright word. Fire taught us to think. It taught us that not everything that kills must be feared, that some things only need to be understood. Before the fire, our thoughts were short, like hunger, like thirst. We thought only of what was in front of us. But when the light came, it gave us time. It gave us the space to wonder. When the fire burned, we could sit awake in the dark, watching it twist and glow. We could dream without sleeping. We began to tell stories of the sky, the beasts, the first ones who walked before us. We began to remember. And memory changed everything. Now, when I look at the young ones, I see their eyes reflecting the flames. They do not fear it. They see shapes in it, faces, animals, paths in the smoke. They imagine things that are not there, and somehow that makes them real. The fire gave us more than warmth and safety. It gave us imagination. With it, we began to shape the world. We made tools stronger, sharper, harder. We burned the ends of spears to make them bite better. We dried meat to carry across the plains. We followed rivers farther than ever before, because we could make fire wherever we went. We no longer waited for the sun. We carried our own sun in our hands. When I see the flames now, I think of how it began. One strike of the sky, one moment of fear that became curiosity. I think of how small I was, hiding behind a fallen tree, shaking as the forest burned. I did not know that I was watching the birth of something greater than myself. Sometimes I wonder if that was the first time we were truly human. Not when we learned to speak or to hunt, but when we learned to see something powerful, and instead of running, we stayed. We learned not to fight the world, but to ask it questions. Now, when the young ones ask me what the fire is, I do not say it is the sun's child or the sky's anger. I say, it is life remembering itself. They do not understand yet. They will. One day, they will learn that fire lives not only in the wood and stone, but in us, in our wanting to know, to change, to make light where there is none. I think of all that it gave: warmth, safety, food, sight, thought, and all that it took: forests, beasts, fear, sleep. It traded our darkness for another kind, the one that burns inside. Before fire, we feared the dark. After fire, we feared ourselves, because we learned that to create is to destroy something else. Every spark eats what it touches. Every idea burns the one before it. But still, I would not give it back. Even now, as I grow old and my bones turn cold again, I sit by the flames and listen to their voice. It tells me the same story every time: how it began, how it will end, how the light always finds a way to live again. And I think, maybe the fire was not stolen. Maybe it had been waiting for someone to notice. The sparks rise into the night, carried by the wind, disappearing into the stars. And I wonder how many others, long after me, will look into this same light and see the same truth: that we are made of the same hunger as fire, that we are its children, that, in the end, all we ever did was learn to keep the light alive.